Hey everybody, this is my 125 gallon tank, and I've been treating the tank with ChemiClean for cyanobacteria and just cleaning some of the general grunge out of the tank for the last, well, it's honestly been a couple of weeks now that I've had the air stones in there. I've just never really gotten around to taking the air stones out now that I've finished the treatment. So tonight I was going to get in there and do a water change, wipe the glass down, finally pull those air stones out of there. It's not hurting anything having the air stones in there, but I don't normally keep them in there. And whenever I get around to doing some maintenance on this tank, I'm going to pull them out. So as I was giving it a once over and looking around, I noticed, I don't know how well you'll be able to see it from this angle. I guess you can kind of see it. Right there, almost dead center of your screen, you can see that darker green. That is very clearly still that cyanobacteria. So I did not fully get it out of the tank when I did my ChemiClean treatment. So rather than just calling it good, since I've already got the air stones in there and everything, we're going to go ahead and do an additional ChemiClean treatment on the tank just to kill off anything else that I didn't really get all the way. Now that I'm looking at it more closely, I can see some more of that bright green back there on the Java. There's a little bit of unusually bright green back there. So we're going to say that we still need to do a little bit more in the way of ChemiClean treatment. Sorry about all this glare. Again, this is just going to be the before part of the video, because we are still going to be getting in there and doing a water change tonight. I want to do a water change before I do any more treatment on the tank. I'm not going to mess with the filter, but I will wipe the glass down just so it looks a little nicer on the other side of this video when we get to the after part. So that's really all this is going to be, is a simple before and after. I'm going to do a basic water change. I'm going to wipe the glass down, and then when the water change is finished, I'm going to put more ChemiClean back in the tank, which again is, not anything I need to do on video or anything. That's not complicated. So there you go. We're going to call this the before, and there's your after. So I actually wound up doing a little more in there than I originally intended once I got in there and started cleaning it out. And the main thing I did was clean out the filter. And the reason I cleaned out the filter was I could tell that it was getting really clogged up and I wasn't getting a lot of water flow through it. Normally when I do a water change, I let the filter continue running, and as the water level gets lower, I can judge by how vigorously the water is flowing out of the spray bar. I can tell, depending on the depth of the water and how much water I'm still getting pumping through the system, and that sort of thing. It gives me a pretty good idea of how much flow I'm getting through the aquarium filter. And in this case, the water level had only dropped by a couple of inches, and in that slight reduction, I was already getting the water very, very slowly coming through the spray bar, which indicated that we were getting a real serious restriction in the amount of flow going through there. So I redid the filter, I cleaned it all out and everything. It was indeed very dirty and definitely in need of being cleaned out. But in addition to that, the filter intake, the little cage or basket or whatever you want to call it on the intake side, was all covered in gunk and everything too. A lot of times when you do these cyanobacteria treatments with the ChemiClean and it kills off the cyanobacteria, kills off some of the grunge that's in the tank, a lot of that stuff will break loose, get knocked loose by the fish, and some of it gets drawn into the filter, but a lot of it will also get clogged onto the filter, and that's what was going on here. Plus I had some roots from some of the Java growing into it, and I think the filter intake being clogged up was probably more of an issue than the actual filter itself being dirty. But it all got done. The filter intake got cleaned off, the filter got changed out, cleaned, and I actually even reduced the amount of biomedia that I have in the filter. I've got loads and loads in that canister filter. The bottom tray is filled with mechanical filter media, just to actual filter the stuff, and then the rest of the filter is just packed with biomedia, whether it's the bio balls or it's the ceramic rings. I have quite a bit of the little plastic pot scrubbies in there, and that's what I removed. I removed about a half a dozen of those pot scrubbies just because I don't need them. I don't need that much biological stuff going on in my filter. I've proven in the past that this tank has enough biological capacity within the tank itself that I don't even need the filter as far as biologicals are concerned. So having all that restrictive material in there that reduce the flow through the filter, all for the sake of having all that additional unnecessary biological medium, I just thought it was kind of pointless, and it was just reducing and restricting the flow through my aquarium. I mean, through the filter. Even when it's a brand new, fresh, clean filter, the more stuff you pack in there, the less water flow you're going to get through. And that's what I did. So I removed some of those pot scrubbies, allows the water to flow a little more freely. Of course, I wiped down the glass while I was in there, and I swooped up a bunch of the, or I stirred up a bunch of the mulm and stuff out of the nooks and crannies, and I got that vacked out a little bit while we were in there. I did probably 50 or 60% water change. I did a really big water change. I didn't bother to check the nitrates when I was done. I generally only do that out of curiosity or just to check to see what's going on in a tank, and I already know what's going on in this tank, so I'm not too worried about checking the nitrates. It did have a lot more cyanobacteria in there than I had originally anticipated. I got in there mechanically, physically, and removed a lot of it. My Tenopoma back there chasing my snakeskin gourami again. Never used to notice him doing that. I don't know why this particular snakeskin gourami always gets chased around. I've had a few different gouramis with that Tenopoma, and Tenopoma has never bothered the gouramis before, but this particular gourami gets chased around quite a bit. And that shark gets chased around a little bit too, which I don't care about that. The shark's usually the one doing the chasing in most circumstances, so this shark getting chased around a little bit by other fish isn't really going to be that big of a deal either. So there you go. I can't really think of a whole lot else to talk about what's going on in this tank. Like I said, I got in there and removed a lot more of the stuff physically than I realized was going to be in there. And I still have this little piece right here that I want to deal with. Let's see if we can find it. There you go. So that, I'm assuming, is a new bulb and a new plant developing. So at some point I'm going to pluck that off of there and plant it somewhere else. I just haven't decided where yet. And in the meantime, I'm going to let it stay attached to the mother plant there and keep getting its nutrients through the mother plant as much as possible until that gets as big as I can get it. And it's probably going to wind up going in my gourami tank. I had one of these red tiger lotuses in my gourami tank for a long time, and slowly but surely it just kind of dwindled away, and I'm not really sure what happened to it, but it just kind of stopped growing. I had the last two little foliage. The lily pads came out. They were the size of a nickel, and nothing. I think the gouramis probably nibbled on them or ate them and chewed away at it until it just wasn't, a viable plant anymore. So I don't know if putting a new one in the gourami tank is the best of ideas, but I also don't know what other tank to put it in that it would do well and not get eaten by the other fish that are in there. So there you go. Just look at a little bit of basic maintenance on my 125. Hope you enjoyed the look at that tank. Make sure you subscribe. You won't miss anything else I got coming up. You never know what it's going to be with me. So thanks again for watching this one. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you real soon in the next one.